Welcome into another episode of Nightmare.Stories of the Otherside. Tonight we dive into the extraterrestrial and accounts of real alien abductions. Our guest tonight is Kay Rose Golden, and we will welcome her in here in a little bit. But anyways, I just wanted to get this intro in place now ahead of the podcast, so once she's in, we can jump right in. So here we go. Kay Rose Golden has lived most of her adult life in Colorado and is a loving wife, mom, sister, and grandmother of seven wonderful kids. Kay has been married for almost 40 years to her husband, Charles. They have moved to a wonderful area out in the country in Colorado with their horses, but Kay still continues to have strange events of otherworldly contact. Stay tuned for Kay's next book, due to be released in July of 2026, The Otherworldly Labyrinth. Kay has been a UFO experience and a lifelong extraterrestrial human abductee of gray otherworldly beings. She felt compelled to write about her incredible otherworldly encounters to present her unbelievable, frightening experience to the world at large. Currently, there are two volumes of Into the Gray's Abyss. The first volume, its title is the same, Into the Gray's Abyss, True Accounts of Kay's Otherworldly Abductions, Volume 1, Unbelievable if Not Experienced. The second is Volume 2, The Abductions Continue. Kay felt it was a necessary step in her writing to redraft the book and add clearer details with some new illustrations and content that were not included in the original book because of the length. The two new volumes gave the reader a wide-eyed look at Kay Golden's real-life, bizarre, and terrifying encounters with the otherworldly beings known as the Zeta Greys. Her experiences are truly mind-blowing. For those people that have yet to read the original book, Kay has had a roller coaster of a ride through otherworldly contact involving being kidnapped or taken multiple times from her home, but repeatedly having her mind and body being frightfully experimented on. Kay has been taken aboard several otherworldly UFO saucers, and there is a tall gray being she refers to as Rex, who seems to be her captor, by all accounts, and one of the main controlling entities in her story. Kay feels that she is at the hands and whim of this captor, the tall gray being, and she cannot seem to escape the very terrorizing repeated abductions and intrusions into her life. She regales horrifying and shocking events at the hands of a strange, very insectoid-looking, cloaked in dark green, manted creature. Kay seems to receive very cryptic thought transference messages directly from her captor, whom Kay believes to be an original eons old progenitor gray being. In addition to the mantid and her beyond the scenes tall gray captor, within the events Kay describes in her book, she has also had incredible encounters with a few other bizarre otherworldly beings, including a reptilian, the shorter, more robotic-like grays, a tall gray female, as well as a gray human hybrid little girl, and a baby. Kay has witnessed, photographed, and videoed sensational UFOs and strange orbs, both night and day, over in her own backyard. Kay also tells a scary story of being frighteningly harassed by an unmarked helicopter where her horses were kept at a boarding facility one summer day back in August of 2020. Kay seems to have a new awakened ability, and it is something that she feels is innate but not used by humans for thousands of years. A strange ability to receive short, early morning messages in her brain likened to controlled remote viewing. Kay seems to receive these in the hours before dawn, within the short period of time between being asleep and then completely awake, which Kay refers to as a cosmic zone. A little about her books here before we begin the podcast. Into the Gray's Abyss, Volume 1. This book is about her true accounts and experiences with the extraterrestrials known as the Zeta Greys. The abduction experiences started in Southern California in September of 2017, but she thinks that they may have happened way earlier in her lifetime. During the composing of this book, she has had many strange things that have occurred that make her believe that she is supposed to do something for the Zeta Greys in the future, and it may be helpful to them, but not to humanity. Into the Gray's Abyss Volume 1, this first volume reveals Kay's earliest experiences with the Greys, the fear, the awakening, and the deeper understanding that followed. Into the Abyss Volume 2, this book continues Kay's journey and it intensifies, and there is much deeper contact and further truth about what happened to her. What began as terror evolves into profound realization as the experiences grow stranger and the message clearer. This continuation explores the aftermath of awareness and the cost of knowing too much. If you go to Kay's website, which is computer's not loading, krosegolden.org, you can read all about who she is, her bio. You can check out her books, and then you can purchase her books as well and see videos and podcasts she has done and photos as well. So I am definitely looking forward to diving into this podcast with her tonight and get all her experiences. So definitely stick around for this podcast because this one is going to be good. All right, well, there we go. Well, welcome in. Finally, it's been what,
Few
3 months
months.
progress trying to get you on, but finally scheduling happened. So, anyways, as I mentioned, happy Alien Abduction Day. I guess it was fate and meant to be.
I think so.
So, how about we just, kind of start way back in the beginning of your, story.
All right. Well, way back in the beginning, I was a little kid. I'll start with the September 2017
All right, sounds
account
good.
because that's what woke my butt up pretty much about everything else. So we were living in Diamond Bar in Southern California, and it was Labor Day, and we went out, and we had just moved there. I mean, we had just moved there for my husband's job, government contracting. And I pretty much, we just got the furniture and everything, not maybe 6 days before. Um, but we went out for Labor Day, had a nice little lunch downtown. And this is, the Los Angeles, that whole kind of area in the big
Okay.
bowl. Yeah, Diamond Bar's in there. And I I know that in the evening, my husband went to bed early because he had a brand new job to be at the next morning, which was Monday morning.
Okay.
And he had to get up early. And I think I was just hanging out with the cats upstairs or downstairs at the couch. And it must have been around just before 11 when I decided, oh, the cats are in their places, and I'll shut everything down, lock doors, shut the lights off, go upstairs and go to bed. And my thought was, I'm going to go to bed in our guest bedroom because I didn't want to disturb my husband because he had to get up early in the morning, shower and shave and all that and
Understandable.
get his butt out. And my legs were hurting. And I don't know, I just started walking up the steps, laminate steps. And then I thought, well, okay, I'll go into the master bedroom and grab my nightgown and get my face ready and all that. And then I'll go to the guest bedroom. Well, I went in the bathroom area and did all that stuff and went to my nightstand and grabbed out a pair of soft booties because I always wear soft booties to it. So my feet are always cold. And for some dumb reason, I just got in bed with him. And I remember looking at the clock, it was like 11 o'clock. And I went to sleep. And the precursor to the abduction event was having this wild, weird dream that was I was walking in the woods in a mist, and there were I wasn't walking very far. There's some trees, and I was crunching through the ground, the leaves. It was must have been fall, and I see just off in the distance, not too far, some beings, cloaked beings, around a fire with a black pot on a big black pot on it. And my curiosity was getting the best of me, and I start walking over because I want to see what they're doing, so I felt
Yeah,
drawn to see, right? So I start walking over there, and I got the very strong impression that they wanted to put me into that pot. They were all of a sudden, these hands were reaching for me and grabbing for me. There were no faces on these beings. They're completely cloaked, hooded, dark, and couldn't see any eyes, nothing like that. And of course, I'm screaming, I don't want to be grabbed, and then I wake up. in the bed, and I'm like, oh my God. And then there is this blue light in the room, kind of a Curlian effect type blue light, bluish white. And it's just in the room. It's kind of enveloping the whole master bedroom. My husband is sound asleep next to me, Charles, um, totally zonked out. And I'm vibrating, I'm shaking really badly. And I'm thinking, oh my God, it's an earthquake. And that's why I'm seeing this light, and that's why I'm shaking, right?
Yeah.
I, I'm I'm trying to get myself, logically thinking here. It's an earthquake, and I'm looking sort of around the room, and I'm laying with my arms kind of tucked down on the sheet. So I used to sleep flat on my back like that a long time
Okay.
ago back then. I don't do it anymore. But my hands were just kind of tucked under the light comforter on top of the sheet. So I'm laying there and I'm looking with my head going, okay, nothing's falling off the walls. And we have the two windows over here on the left side of the room, where my husband's on the left side. It's a big king size bed. And there is the two windows, and they're not only closed and locked, they're shuttered with wood shutters, and then they have blue or brown drapes on them. I can't remember. So there was no light coming through that window. So my thought of emergency vehicles and police lights and all that coming through the
Yeah.
room, that's not what this was. And so then I'm propping myself up on my right elbow, looking towards the master bedroom door into the hallway, and I'm not seeing anything coming through the slot down there, the door from the floor, the slit. And my heart's kind of pounding and racing, and these vibrations are rocking through me, little at first and then stronger and stronger. And then this light is starting to shrink down a little bit in the room. And it progresses to where I'm kind of having these no, not panic attack, but vibrations going through me. I get to the point where it's hard to breathe, very hard to breathe. This light is kind of condensing down in the room till it's just right over the bed. And after a while, it's kind of just on my part of the bed. And my heart's racing because I don't know where this light's coming from.
Yeah, for
Really
sure.
bizarre thing is there were no shadows being thrown by this light. We had a wood, it's a wood bed with four big posts, and there were and a ceiling fan up there, and it was on high, and there were no shadows from this light bouncing onto the floor or the dresser across the room or my nightstand or the door. No shadows. So it was very bizarre, very peculiar. So my heart's beating really fast, it's racing, and I'm not able to breathe. And all of a sudden, I felt this touch down at the end of the bed, my foot, my left foot, I think it was. Something touched my toes, and I, you don't know what to do. I'm thinking,
Yeah.
okay, cats are downstairs in their beds. Can't be cats. And it was underneath the sheet. So whatever it was underneath the sheet touching me. It didn't feel like an insect touch, so it wasn't a spider or anything like that. So being able to not catch my breath very well, and I was positioned to the point where I was kind of locked down to the bed. I say locked down, but I was just kind of still straight on the bed. And I'm looking, and this light is getting shrinking down smaller and smaller until it's just on me. So all of a sudden now, I don't know how many minutes this was, or if it was just a couple of seconds. These things happen, and you don't know the time that
Right.
actually transpires. But it felt like a long time, but it probably wasn't no more than a couple minutes. But this light is getting so small, it ends up being a beam on me, and it starts tracking from my chest down to my ankle area. So it comes back and back. So I'm looking through this beam, and I'm finally getting the courage to look down the comforter, because it's pretty much all I can do. And this thing is still trying to touch my foot, whatever it was. And I'm looking down. We have this white comforter with some flowers on it, yellow, blue, purple flowers. And that blue beam was making the comforter look like it would in a black light with
Okay.
those colors popping out. And I'm looking down, and they're kind of in rows. And I'm looking down, and then I see, of course, naturally, something down by my feet. There's this bulbous, like light bulb shaped head thing, and big dark black sunglass like eyes, like Ray
Hmm.
Ban, whatever on there. Um, and it's got a hand on the comforter. It's four fingers. It's pale, and even in this light, you could tell it was very, very pale gray, but it had this bluish tinge to it, to its hand or its skin. So you could see that it had those big eyes. It had just two little holes for a nose, and I could see this, through the beam, and then just a slit for the mouth that had kind of a pointed chin. So it was almost like I said, like double shaped. Was head, and I'm seeing only that much of it. Now our bed was up high because of my legs being uncomfortable all the time. We had a high mattress so that I could get out of bed easier. Kind of helps the back too. But the thing down there, you could see the hand. It was like crawling on the comforter. It's got the one hand down there on the foot, grabbing my foot under the sheet, and then it's got the other hand kind of coming up the comforter. It looked like a big spider coming towards me. So really creepy, really scary. And all I could think of was thing. It's a thing. There's a thing down there by my feet.
Yeah.
And I tried to kick at it and I couldn't kick. And I found that I couldn't move my arms. I found that I couldn't move anything except for my head and my eyes. And that was just a little. So that's going on down there. I'm trying to kick. I'm screaming in my head. Or, you think you're screaming out, but I couldn't, nothing could come out of my mouth. I was screaming for my husband, like, Charles, whoa, wake up. Don't you see that thing down at the end of the bed? Oh my God, wake up. Please help me. And I'm panicking. I mean, my heart is just racing, and I'm still having a hard time catching my breath. And then I look a little bit to the right, and there's another thing right there by my pillow, and it's got a hand, 4 fingers, dark nails, not claws, but like dark nails at the end. And it's got this metallic pen-like thing in its hand, like 6 inches, and it has just a little bulbous tip to it, and it was bringing it to my underneath my right eye.
Hmm.
And I mean, I was just freaking out.
Oh, I can imagine.
I'm not able to move. I'm 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 immobile for the most part, just totally immobile. And it gets worse from there. So that happens. And I'm trying to look back again at the other one. The sheet and the comforter are off of me. They're still on my husband. He's sound asleep, totally zoned and switched off is the term that Bud Hawkins, I believe, used in his books a long time ago. So he's switched on. I'm sitting here freaking out. My heart is racing. I can't catch my breath. The vibrations are rocking through my body. And when I say vibrations, I mean just from head to toe. It's like somebody lit me on fire. And the whole body is in this weird motion, even though I'm immobile. And I'm being, all of a sudden, I'm being lifted up or floated up above the bed, above my spot on bed, and I'm heading towards the ceiling fan that's on high. And somewhere in my head, in the back of my brain, something told me that I was being taken. And I kept calling it a thing. Even in my book, I said these are things. What are they? I mean, you don't know what something is in the middle of the night that shouldn't be in your room.
Yeah.
It's not a burglar. It's not your cat. It's not your dog. It's not your parrot. Your pet bird or anything like that. And it's certainly none of the person. And so thing comes to mind, but then in the back of my head, I'm thinking gray, Zeta gray. That's somewhere in my childhood, somewhere I must have heard it. And so that clicked. But anyway, I'm being floated up. I'm getting closer and closer to the fan. I'm facing up so I'm right there. I'm gonna get shredded. That's the thought in my head. Oh my God. And I can't speak it. In my head, I'm going, oh my God, you're gonna kill me. You things, whatever you are, you're going to kill me. I'm heading straight for that fan. And then I end up moving over towards the left, over my husband. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is a nightmare. This has got to be a nightmare. I thought, no, okay, I'm being floated over my husband and I'm yelling at him as best I can with nothing coming out because it felt like my lips were
Yeah.
sewn shut. And freaking out. And I thought, okay, this is an out-of-body experience. I've had one a long, long time ago. So that's what I'm thinking. And I thought, okay, I'm going to turn my head and look down and see, if my body's down there, then I'll know
Right.
it's an out-of-body experience. So I turn, I look, and I'm not down there. I'm not physically on the bed. And I'm going over my husband, and I'm turned a little, and they're going to knock my head into the big, thick wood bedpost, right? It's really thick. And he's still stone cold asleep. And I'm telling them, okay, you're really going to kill me. You're going to knock my head right into that thing. Because at that point, I just didn't know. I mean, you don't know.
Yeah.
mobile, you don't know what to think or do. You're panicking. Your heart is racing when you can even breathe. Trying to get a breath. The vibrations are still rocking through me. And so I passed right through it. Somehow my head passed right through that bedpost and I
That's
didn't
crazy.
feel a thing when it happened. I thought I'm gonna feel something on my face when I go then didn't feel a thing. Now we're over the husband, we're over the edge of the bed. On the left side of the room, there's the windows, again, shuttered, closed, locked, drapes. And then we have that little sitting area that has the pillows on it. So it's just a big stretch of bench with pillows on it. And
Okay.
we're heading towards that now. And it's not very far from the edge of the bed. It's like maybe 3 feet. So now we're going that way. And we're not going to the door. They're not walking me out the door, downstairs and out the front door. They're taking me to this, and I knew it in my head. Oh my God, they're going to take me through the window. There's no way. And I'm telling them again in my head, oh my God, you're going to kill me.
Yeah.
What are you doing? This is crazy. Don't do this. And I went through it and I'm on the other side in a light beam of kind of a yellow amber color. And when I went through it, I think that I blocked out or blacked out. I'm not positive of that, but I don't remember feeling anything but just a little electric shock. And that was it. And I'm in the beam and they're there. One's by my heel, one's by my shoulder, and they're small. They're, 3.5 feet tall. They're not 5 feet tall, they're three and a
Okay.
half feet tall. Both of them pretty much exactly duplicates of each other. Pointed chin, no ears, just one small hole here and here, kind of low. And then those big, huge, scary black, and no, there's no pupils in those eyes. There's nothing. They're just solid black. And it's like, looking in a pool of ink, reflective, and
Yeah.
no, just two little holes, and that pale gray. I say ashen gray, but with a blue tinge to it. And their suits are dark, almost black. And I probably because it's easier for them to take people in the
Hmm.
dark when they're
Yep.
wearing a suit like that. We can, surprise people. But anyway, we're going up, and it was like being in an elevator going up. And I at one point I freaked out and I thought, okay, the red tile on the roof's coming up. It's the fireproof roof in California on the houses. It was a two-story home. Okay, the very edge is coming up, and I'm going to reach out the beam and grab it because I'm not going with you. I am not going. There's no way I'm going. And I discovered that even though you can smell the Pacific Ocean and you can feel the breeze in the beam, you cannot reach outside of it. It could have been that I was still pretty much totally immobile, but in my heart of heart, I know I wanted to reach out and grab and just say, I'm going to stand and I'm sitting on the roof until somebody helps me in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm not going. But I couldn't. I could not move. I could not reach outside of that beam. So I'm going up with them and I could see, and this is, the Los Angeles area, I could see the dark sky with the stars, and then there's this dark thing up above as this is going up like an elevator with us in it. It was blotting out the sky, blotting out the stars and the planets. And as we're going up, and I don't know how high it was, it might have only been like 2,000 feet up. I don't know, but something opened. It was kind of a circle hatch that opened. But it slid open. It didn't do anything funky. Uh,
Okay.
Slid open. And then we're up and we're in, and I must have just blacked out because the next thing I knew, I woke up on in a room on a metal table. Now, all of my recall for your listeners and viewers is mine. I have had no hypnosis regression for anything. This is all totally my own memories. Some of them have been buried. I will probably never get them because there are some spots where it's just really weird where I go, I'm in one room and then all of a sudden little Gray's walking me. And then I don't remember anything going to another room. And then I'm in another room and something's done there. And then I'm brought back. It's been a roller coaster ride. But so I woke up on that table, groggy, couldn't see. And I think the first thing I saw cognizant of was this being that just kind of either floated in, walked in really fast, or ran in. I'm not sure because I'm still all groggy. And I got this jab in the back, and it was up here, close to the right shoulder blade in the back,
Okay.
between the spine and the shoulder blade. And I was like, oh my God. And then it went out. And then I woke up on another table. I think I might have been walked over to another room. And then this is where the being that I call the tall gray that has been in my life for quite some time. Um, this being is a woman was up above my head, looking down at me, and I'm laying pretty much flat on this metal table. You could feel the indentation. It's cold steel, um, and I was not covered, at least not at this point. Um, the room was pie shaped, or yeah, pie wedge shaped, sort of. So it was triangular, and the bed was in the middle of the room. And it seemed like it was connected to the wall completely. And then and looking around, I didn't see any nuts or bolts or anything like that. The light was coming from the walls themselves. So there were no light bulbs or anything like that. And it wasn't bright. It was pretty much just kind of a soft light. But the being, this tall gray that I didn't know any name or anything, freaking me out. He's over my head, looking down, and the eyes. He's got the black eyes. They're not as big as the zebras. They're
Okay.
not wraparound, but they're large, they're walnut shaped, they're really black. They're so reflective, it's very, very creepy. And then his skin, very dead color. I say dead, like pallid, pallid, and then just a little bit of a blue tube, but very, very pallid, more pallid than the zebras. Um, no nose, just two small holes. There's like a little bridge for a nose, just very slightly. And then he had two small holes, one on each side, really set low, kind of a long neck. I should have sent you pictures. I didn't send you pictures from the book, but I had all that in illustrations in the book. So in volume one, we get to see the tall gray rex, so as I had illustrated and had the publisher redo it. Very tall. He's 7.5 feet. And I said he because I got the impression that it was a he. I'm pretty sure he is. But we met the the what do you call it? Projection from him into me is more like hearing my voice, okay. And of course I'm freaking out. I'm totally freaking out that I'm on this table. I'm being is looking down in my eyes. And it's just okay, calm, calm. And I've heard stories of people being told to, settle down and relax, be calm, so
Mhm.
they the procedure. So I understand that if you fight, they can't do it. They don't want you. Well, in this case, that didn't happen because I was trying to fight, but because they had me clamped to the table, wrist and ankles. These were like metal clamps, not plastic, not zip ties or anything like that. Um, and my heart is pounding. It's just racing. I'm hearing Kay calm, and he's looking right down at me. And um, I'm I know in my head I was just screaming and in tears and completely freaked out. I've gotten better at masking all this emotion now because it's
Mhm.
been since a while since 2017, and I've had many more experiences. But it was the freakiest thing a person can go through. Is
Oh, I'm sure.
being taken, being put on craft, and being put on the table, and having something jabbed and then having to be removed into another room and have this big tall thing that you've never ever expected in your life, in your wildest imagination, to be looking down at you, speaking to you in a way that's completely thought transference. Um, but I'm clamped down and can't remember. He's putting something into my head and taking out memories of my head, which I'm very certain that he can do. And I think that's why a lot of people can't recall the abductions because they get so much pulled out that it's just scrambled. And then you see little pictures and the instances of things that remind them of some bad nightmare that they had.
Hmm.
So moving on, I think he left the room, and I didn't know his name or anything yet, but some big green, not say green blob, a green thing shot into the room really fast. And I had a needle or something in my arm. It was a machine, I can't remember. And then it shot right out. It was just a green mass. And I got to meet that green mass later. It wasn't a gray. It was definitely green, and it had a dark green cloak and just flew into the room, around the table, it did what it did, and that helped. Um, so it was really, really frightening. And I know I think I'm on that abduction. I think I'm three separate rooms. One of them there was a machine put on also, doing some strange thing while I was still strapped down. I've been that room. In the third room, I think the third room was when you put me in the chair, like a dentist chair, and get me back in it. And oh God, the smell. Um, I don't know if it's down from craft and the fact that people are taking and they're sweating and God knows what else is happening with them. But the smell is like sulfur. It's like sulfur.
Okay.
Like sulfur and dirty diapers and like black licorice all mixed in. So it's horrible. It's
Oh,
not,
I can imagine.
oh my God. But I'm in this chair and they've got this light on me and they're shining at my eyes and going, oh my God, my eyes. Oh my God, no, stop. And this is thought transference to the tall gray and then this other being, which I found out is a mantis or a mantis being. He's, about 6 feet tall, so shorter than the tall gray. And then I'm freaking out because of the smell. I'm freaking out because they're blinding me with this light. And then we finished KCOM, this is necessary, this must be done, whatever they were doing to my arm. I'm pretty sure that's what they were doing. Um, the light went off and everything, and then I'm laying there, the smell was so bad, I just wanted to bar. I remember I was just so nauseated. And they did something to the smell in the room or my senses or manipulated my mind to where I didn't smell that anymore. And this while I was in the room most of the time. It was more like smelling, they changed it over completely. So they changed it over to like something like that I don't remember. Lilacs and my horse's foot or horse foot. So two scents that I really love. And we combined it and that was much better. So I thought that was pretty wild, but
Right.
interesting. And I'm going to say that it was my manipulation rather than changing the room smell. And think they can do that. I think they can put things into your head. I think they can take things out of your head. I mean, let's face it, they're flying around in crafts that we can't compete with. And we have
Hmm.
consequences. So, man, after when I was put back, and I don't now, right now, I don't even remember. I'm sure I was just put back in the whole period. Pretty much that's how it's been in time. I'm not taken back in the ship down to the ground and walk to the room or anything like that. It's just been, waking up at 2 in the morning, almost 2 to 2 in the morning, and freaking out, jumping out of that bed. My husband's still totally zonked over there, never woke up once. I'm going downstairs and making a pot of coffee and opening the wings of big patio doors that we have. Um, and going outside and breathing in the air, just breathing in the air, breathing in the air, and crying. I was sobbing. I sat at our patio table and just sobbed forever and had my coffee and had my coffee. And I tried to sit there probably almost all morning long until my husband got up and just tried to think logically about what just,
For sure.
oh my God. I mean, and nobody, I don't think anybody has nightmares like this stuff. I mean, I can watch horror movies, sci-fi movies, and Dracula movies till the cows come home, and I don't have any nightmares. So this was not enough. This happened. And I had to just keep walking through everything that happened. And it's like in the first volume, that scene happens and the chapter's really long. But I try to be as descriptive as possible. The beings are just something you've done. This is not normal. This is not anybody's normal life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's so freaky. But I sat there and I checked off boxes. I said, okay, what just happened? And then I said, oh, that's how I remember the dream. I had the dream first. I was walking in this. Those things were grabbing. Then the blue light in the room. And then each little instance of the blue light shrinking down and really having this vibration going through me. I'm thinking, of course, it made her quake and was invisible. I just kept checking off boxes mentally while I'm crying and while I'm sipping coffee. And at one point, I opened up a canisters of my horse's senior food just to sniff it in, and I needed some reality and hit me in the face with badly. When I got out of my bed, it was about, it might have been 2 in the morning. I think I said in the book, it's like 3 hours passed. 3 Earth hours passed. All of that happened to me. 3 rooms, 2 different rooms, and then the zebra, that little half robotic guy, moves over into a little niche in that little wedge room, little pie-shaped room, a little niche there, and they just stand there. That's why I say they're half biological, they're half robotic, because they're not freely walking. These are not the zebras that are on the big mothership perhaps that
Mm-hmm.
are alive. These are the pwned ones that they need to probably the zebras. But I digress. So I'm just checking off boxes and going through all that. And when my husband got up, I went, I was sitting with coffee in the kitchen table and he came downstairs, I'm shaving and you've been 10 to go for the I know that's a brand new job. You just can't do that. And you told me that. This is a brand new job. I can't do that. That's the And I tried to explain to him what happened, what really happened. And of course he said, "Yeah, it's a dream. You just had a dream." And of course he said, "You left." And I'm here to say to anybody, the viewers, listeners, uh, that is the response you're going to get unless you know somebody who can be 100% supportive and yourself. It took a long time for him to come to the grips or come to the understanding that these things were happening to me. So it didn't just happen then. We moved back to Colorado in 18 months. There were a couple more instances there in Boulder. Got to Colorado, things were cool for like 2 months, and then in March, boom, I could take it, and I got taken again in May, June, July. It was almost monthly for the first that year in 2018. And still 2020, 21, 3, 4, 5, and even here in New Colorado, out in southeastern Colorado, in the ranch. So they followed me, and so people asked, "Do you have implant?" And I said, "Well, I think I do because Steph on everything head and off. It's putting something on that. And I I can honestly say if something happens like this and you don't want to talk about it, so we're seeing the yourself. You have to talk about it. I wrote the books because I felt like I was going to lose my mind and things were still happening to
That's
me
crazy.
as I'm writing the book. That's why I divided. Well, the original Into the Grace of This book was released October 24th, 2024. And then I just didn't like the way it was. I thought I can do better. So I took it. And as things were still happening, I went, okay, this is going to be my volume one. The rest of this is going to be volume two. And then the other instances that happen are going to go in the next book, which is going to have much more detail and deep dives into things that are it's an all-encompassing subject. It isn't just being thrown in the sky and the sea. It's not just being taken. This stuff it's got its tendrils into every aspect of our lives in the world, everything, you know, businesses, corporations, banking, government, Vatican. It's everywhere. You can't look at this from one point and say, oh, it's just this. It's not. It is so huge.
Yeah.
And we are never going to get this kind of disclosure from the sitting president. That's never gonna happen. He may say, hey, yeah, we're not alone. We're not the biggest fish in the ocean. Or, you know, we know we have crafts moving us and blah, blah, blah. And oh, by the way, I've had recurring dreams since this stuff, since this stuff happened. And they've all been about, well, the first recurring dream was a premonition, I think, of a big, giant, red object, square, huge football field size. Um, I was, it's hard to explain. It's not hard to explain, but I had that dream while we were in Diamond Bar. And it was an area where I was standing, it was an open space, and there was a saucer craft, and there was this tall gray Rex waiting for me there. Kind of foggy, and you see this massive object coming over and going towards, I want to say it was towards Denver, because the space that I was in felt like the space we lived in at our other place up in Castle Rock, Colorado. Just behind it was this open space area. But I didn't, it's hard to connect this stuff, but
Yeah.
that was a premonition-like dream. Now, also, that big red square object had lights around it. It was, I don't know, it was flat, not super flat. I mean, it was a couple stories high, but it was just humongous. And it had this wavy pattern underneath it, like you would see on a really hot day on the road when
Okay.
it comes off, kind of like a radiation type wave. So that was there. And so I had that first dream. And then you get to Castle Rock and things continue to happen, and I'm having more recurring dreams. One of the second dream I have, I'm actually in that house. Our daughter-in-law, our son, and our grandson are in the house. And we just had some celebration, something. And they're all asleep or maybe just waking up. It's early in the morning, and I'm hearing something. I'm up, and the first one's up, and I end up trying to get the rifle out of our closets. I had a 12 gauge shotgun. So trying to get that and carry it across the floor. I step on glass, I hurt myself. There's some commotion going on outside in the neighborhood. And so I'm bleeding on my foot, and I'm crawling over, and I'm looking through the blinds in the front window, the bay window, and I'm seeing people standing and staring up. And then I'm going, oh my God. And then I end up going out the door and looking, and there's people being taken by different strange, really robotic looking beings, not necessarily Zeta Grays, but strange. And there's ships and ships coming down, and they're taking my neighbors, and oh my God, it was just horrible. And that dream ends pretty abruptly after I see my neighbors, a couple neighbors gone, and then more crafts coming down. And we're talking saucers, we're talking diamonds, we're talking pyramids, we're talking spheres, all kinds of stuff. So after that dream, and we knew in the dream, I knew that this was going to happen, because the president had just announced it like 4 months earlier that we weren't alone, and announced a couple of different beings and what they were flying. So we knew, or I knew at least in the dream,
Yeah.
that this was probably going to happen, and that they were going to hide out and do their politics underground somewhere. I mean, it's been crazy. It's been a roller coaster ride of proportions I can't even begin to describe. But so recurring dreams, and then the downloads. I have people come away from these experiences, and some of them have great gifts. I guess if you want to call it a gift, I call it a curse. I get these strange downloads in the early morning that it's usually prefaced by hearing my name, like Kay, and then I'm looking up and I'm seeing a triangle ship or a craft in the sky. In fact, the last one was a double triangle in the sky, with lines on the side, very weird, strange lights on it, not one of ours. and people, military people, are on the ground and they're ready to fire at it. A big missile. They're going to fire this big missile at it. So I've had really strange things, and I've had downloads where it felt like I was being pushed or flown over to the East Coast, put on a ship just so I could hear and see what was going on. And a big craft is rising out of the ocean, triangle, and going up, and nobody could hear or see me. Um, and I'm hiding behind the big jets on the aircraft carrier, and I'm trying to remember if that was August. It happened in August, I think, of 2022. And I remember going back and looking in the news to see, okay, was there a ship out there in 2022 in that area? And was it an aircraft carrier? And I did find that information. Now, whether or not that was real, that I actually went and saw that,
Yeah.
it's been a curse to have those money downloads. There's been a lot of them. Some of them I put in I think volume one, maybe volume two. But it's this is oh my God, it's just completely engulfed my life. And now I'm at the point where, okay, I'm not shaking, I'm not crying when I'm telling you this, I'm doing much better. Um, but now I'm at the point where I've had several podcasts last year and a couple of good guys on the East Coast, with their audio podcasts that they do. I think it's Paranormal Zone on YouTube. They have started a new organization, Skywatchers and Skywatchers National. And so they thought I would be a good fit to be the director. Now, this is a nonprofit organization. Um, and I'm really happy to say that I accepted, and I'm working on that down. And we're trying to get more investigators. We're trying to get level one investigators and level two investigators. And level one investigators, a person's going to take, let's say, not just a person seeing something in the sky or
Yeah.
taking a picture of UFO, but an actual abduction. And that's what we're looking to break, get into it deeper. We have a specialized data system made by a company in Great Britain that we're going to be using. Very, very happy. It's going to be it's going to be a blessing to use this system, because it isn't going to be just, okay, they're calling or they're emailing us and saying, hey, I saw this. We're going to have a level one agent that takes down the information and works with them. And then we'll have a level two agent that has more of a support and psychological, hopefully, support for this person, dive deeper. And then everything gets input, and we're hoping with the use of possibly some AI that we come out with some real trackable, solid information on the abductions. Because everybody's talking about, military whistleblowers coming out, hey, this happened, we did this, we did that, or we remember seeing this and all that. Nobody is really still talking about the dark side of this, which is
Right.
the abductions. And if anybody, the viewers or watchers have had an experience or even think they've had an experience, really step forward, contact us. We're going to keep everything private. Nothing is going out to the public. But we'll have a website, hopefully in a couple of weeks, where we'll have a contact page on there. So people can go to that website. It'll be Skywatchers National. I don't know if it'll be .com, .org. I'm leaning towards .org. And then the contact page will be on there, so you can fill that out, and then we'll have an agent. Our goal is to have an agent, two agents at least, in every quadrant of the state. So for California, it would be, Northern California, Middle California, Southern
Yeah.
California, and we're probably going to have two or three agents for all of those areas. But level one and level two investigators, so they'll be. And then, of course, me being the director, I'm just making sure everybody's going to be doing their stuff. It's totally
Hmm.
nonprofit. There may be fundraisers done, especially over on the East Coast, the guys who started this, Bob and Tom. And there may be swag involved with, fundraising and that kind of thing, but it is nonprofit. Nobody's getting paid. So it is all volunteers. So we want people that are really interested or have had experience of their own and would be a great level one, or somebody that wants to dive deeper and wants to be a level two investigator. So that's what we're looking for. It's going to take years to get real good
Oh,
trackable
for
data.
sure.
And there's a lot of details. And I think the guys asked me because I've had so many bizarre ass things happen. So there's lots of things I can think of that maybe other lefties don't think of. Okay, so it's blue light, or it's a white light, or okay, you're seeing an orb. Did the orb come down and circle around your body and turn red? Or, or have you been taken out on the road? Have you been taken when you were a kid? I mean, lifelong abductees and family and all those details. I mean, it's crunch time for this. Now is the time to start doing this. So I think it's a great time for Skywatchers National to um, begin, and that's what we're doing.
Sounds great.
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited about it. I've already got a couple agents picked out, so we're working. It's got to go faster, but we're working on it. And then we just need people to come forward with their accounts. And again, it'll be completely private. Nobody's going to be showing your story on a book or YouTube or anything like that.
So like one question I have, so like people that say they, you know, see UFOs and objects in the sky, do you think that's kind of a precursor to an abduction, or is that kind of like separate?
Hi, everybody. This is Kay Rose Golden, author of Into the Gray's Abyss, Volume 1 and 2, and the 2024 original Into the Gray's Abyss. New book coming out pretty soon. I'm here to talk about Skywatchers National. I'm here to talk about how we wanted to get this started and off the ground. It is a nonprofit organization. It is new. We're working hard to get it off the ground. We need investigators. But I want to tell you a little bit about how I got started in this, real briefly. Paranormal investigators on the East Coast, Tom Spitaleri and Bob McDermott, great guys, have been doing the Paranormal Zone podcast. It's not a screen podcast, it's just an audio podcast. Great guys, I've been on their show a few times. We got to talking about things, and they've been developing this organization, Skywatchers. So we talked about developing it into a bigger organization. And this horse is huge. You're talking about abduction cases, your abduction cases that we want, and we want investigators in each state, level 1 and level 2. I'll have more videos coming forward on this. These guys are awesome. They're in the paranormal investigation. They do an awesome job out there on the East Coast. They wanted somebody to take the reins of this giant horse, and they asked me to do it, and I agreed. So Skywatchers National, look us up on Facebook. Hi, everybody. I'm Kay Rose Golden, the author of Into the Gray's Abyss, Volume 1, Volume 2, and the original Into the Gray's Abyss, and a new book coming out soon. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. Real quick, I want everybody who thinks they've been abducted, please contact one of us at facebook.com/skywatchersnational, or you can go to my Facebook, which is facebook.com/KKAY Golden, GOLDEN. We need to get people's true abduction stories. We want to get to the bottom of it. I'm not going to make this a long video. I am the director of a new nonprofit organization called Skywatchers National. Check us out. I'll be talking about it on the next podcast I'm on. I'll be on a few, including Gary Anderson's Forbidden Realms coming up soon, I believe on March 26th. That's one of them. Look forward to having all of you out there who've had experiences. Now, I'm not talking just, hey, seeing something up in the sky. We're talking about abduction experiences. We're going to be using a specialized database to put the information into and get real results. It's going to take time, but that's the organization's goal. So check us out on Facebook. Thank you.